You're listening to
such a short amount of time to do it in.
a Mamamia podcast.
Hi there and welcome to Cancelled, a podcast from Mamamia about who's in, who's out and who cares. I'm Clare Stephens, I'm an editor and a writer. I'm Jessie Stephens, an author and a writer at Mamamia, and I obviously co-host this podcast, which is all about following a particular celebrity or things or seasons cancellation, and then we decide on the appropriate punishment so that we can move on with our lives.
Yeah, because we get stuck. And you know what? It's a job someone has to do.
What we do every week, just to let people in on a bit of insight as to how the
Behind the scenes.
behind the scenes BTS, is that we text each other.
Yep.
We go, oi, who should we do?
Yep.
And then we get a vibe. You say someone, I say, nah, that shit.
Yep.
I say someone.
I say not a vibe.
Not a vibe. And then we just go based on vibe, and then we go to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And that gives us a little bit of an insight, and then we do more research.
Yes.
Who did we choose this week, Claire, based on vibe?
Right now our vibe is America's and to a lesser extent Australia's Next Top Model. Today my structure is as follows. A short conversation about Australia's Next Top Model, just short.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it will become clear later, but it just wasn't as controversial. Okay? And for Biggest Loser, we did just do Australia's.
There was enough.
There was enough. Okay? We'll get to it.
And that's how a courtroom works. Is sometimes you look at someone's judges and you go, there's not enough for a whole court case. So we're going to bring in other things.
We'll bring in the international version.
Exactly.
That's what
of
they
your
say
drink driving.
in court. My second point, inappropriate photo shoots and or challenges. And that's specifically America's Next Top Model. My third point, Tyra, please.
Okay.
And my fourth point, makeovers. Our favourites. So it's a pretty packed show. Let's get stuck in. America's Next Top Model premiered in 2003 and only finished in 2018.
Too long.
Too long. It was hosted by Tyra Banks, who does too many things. She's one of those people who's a model, actress, writer, TV host,
A slashy.
producer. A slashy, but it's like Tyra.
Focus.
For all but one season, it was hosted by Tyra, and that other one season, it was hosted by Rita Ora.
Not the same.
Not the same. There were 24 seasons in that time. Silly. Too many. Over 300 episodes.
Did you think, and we're going to be honest here because we are honest with our listeners,
Yeah.
when you used to watch America's/Australia's Next Top
Yeah.
Model, was there a part of you that always believed you would end up there?
Yes.
Because,
God, yes.
And you would watch it and you'd go, if I was on it, I'd bring more personality.
Yeah.
If I was on it, I would know
How to pose.
how to use my angles and my facial structure.
And they would give me a makeover, and everyone would go, oh,
She's so beautiful. They wouldn't cut my hair short. No. I'd get extensions.
No.
And I recalled as teenagers, we must have been 13, 14. There are pictures.
Of us doing
And-
Next Top Model in the backyard.
Yes, and kind of we're
There were
talking
leaves.
orange, piping hot crop top, white, round belly with orange board shorts from Kmart.
I remember they had big white flowers on
Yes,
them.
exactly, with like orange thongs because you had to have kind of, like a motif throughout. We took photos. There were cats as props because you always needed a prop and you always need to like hold your hands close to your face to just kind of, because that's what you had to smize. And the thing is that now you watch this and you go, we never made it. And in fact, we would have been cut out from entry 7 years ago.
Yes.
23 is as old as you can be. Are we 5 foot? Yes. There was never any chance. But that's
We
important
don't
to
fit
note.
any of the measurements or requirements.
Or face.
Anyway, America's Next Top Model went viral last year because the old seasons were added to Amazon and Hulu. And so everybody went to rewatch it to remember like, oh my gosh, those photo shoots with somebody getting hypothermia. But then we realised it was actually super fucked up and shouldn't have existed.
And then we rewatched them.
Yeah. And people tweeted a lot. First, let's jump into a short chat about Australia's Next Top Model.
Jordan's from New South Wales.
Oh my God, she's got a muffin top coming out over the jeans.
And that hair looks like it's in really bad condition. Yeah.
She's cute though. Look, she's cute.
And she has got a beautiful shaped face. Like, she's got a beautiful sort of heart-shaped face.
Yeah.
And I actually really like the hair. I know it's a little bit too much and it's a bit messy, but
As I touched on before, the Australian version was more genuinely modelly, and that meant there was less crazy drama. And when I mean less crazy drama, like, yes, there was a woman who strangled another chick and got disqualified, but it's like she got disqualified. Where's the drama? You know what I mean? She got disqualified.
Justice was served. We don't need a courtroom for that.
Because we're all about, like, finding a real model who's not going to strangle people.
Was she arrested?
No. But she talked about it later, and she was like...
I remember her. Now she's really famous on Instagram.
Yeah, she is. She's really recognisable. But I feel like on America's Next Top Model, they would have been like, you go, you know?
Yeah,
like
and then the next photo
that.
shoot would have been like, you're in prison and she's got you around the neck and you're fighting for your life.
Yes, and that's why America's Next Top Model was just better. But anyway, I don't know if the American version was ever really about the winner becoming a top model. Mm-mm. I think it was more about being quirky and wacky, which is fine.
It was more about Tyra. There, I said it.
And that's why it was so great. It meant that it had to focus more on things like weight and height because it was like, no, you're here to become a model.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, stop fat shaming her. And it's like, have you seen a model? Because they're very thin. The show went from 2005 to 2016 and memorably, it was on Fox 8.
Also home of The Simpsons and so on.
It was. Seventh Heaven, I think. The structure was that a bunch of young female contestants would audition. The minimum age was 16, and you're right that the maximum age was 23, which is really disturbing. And they'd live together for several weeks while doing challenges and photo shoots to compete to be Australia's Next Top Model. And the winner would receive a modelling contract and a bunch of other prizes, like sometimes a car, like sometimes a spread in a magazine, and like meetings with modelling agencies. The hosts included Erica Haynatt. There was so much drama with the host. Erica Haynatt, who then signed on to do another show, and it was like a conflict of interest.
I remember that show. It was called like The Face. Yeah. It was called The Face. It was called The Face, and it was exactly the same concept.
But she was booted.
Yeah.
Then Jodie Mears came in, and Jodie Mears got a lot of criticism for being like too stiff, and then she got massive stage fright before the season 4 finale and couldn't host, and so
Charlotte had to do it last minute.
Yep, Charlotte had to do it. So then she kind of got stood down, and then Sarah Murdoch had the moment that we'll be touching on, and then it was Jennifer Hawkins, and then the show died. Then there were the judges, and they included people like Alex Perry, Jez Smith, Georges Anthony, he was beautiful. Google him if you've forgotten his face.
Yes.
Beautiful man. Didier Cohen, and Charlotte Dawson, who tragically died of suicide in 2014. For more on her story, you can listen to Extraordinary Stories, a Mamamia podcast. Very, very sad. But here's a quick fire walk down memory lane. So Demelza got in very big trouble, but she really bullied this girl, Alamila? She was 17, and it's so cruel. I went and watched the footage. So it's things like Alamila's just sitting there, and Demelza gets a bowl of water and just pours it on her head. And then Alamila will just be in the kitchen, and she just throws water at her, like quite violently and aggressively.
Again, why wasn't she removed from the house or arrested?
I know, well, she won instead.
And close.
And then she was kind of mean about like other people's faces and that kind of thing. But in her defense, people were really mean about her too. There is a quote where Alex, who ended up coming second, do you remember Alex? She had lip filler before lip filler was a thing, and the judges were really mad, and they were like, you can't move your lips properly because of your lip filler.
I don't remember that, no.
Anyway, Alex said Demelza was the fattest and the bitchiest in an interview with Charlotte and Ian Thorpe that was clearly set up to catch them out. So they did this weird thing where it was like doing a press trail, and they got all the contestants to have this interview, and they're like, who's the bitchiest, who's the fattest? And then they pulled it together for headlines. So they're like, Demelza's the fattest and the bitchiest. It's like, why is this a game?
I just remember that it always used to be a woman who was like a size 10, and they'd be like, put on 1.5 kilos, you can be plus size, because they always needed like one plus size model to show diversity.
Yeah.
They would do the same with like a woman of colour, and they'd put them in the top 14, and then they'd go first and second. So then they could have an all-white 10, you know?
The most successful person, I reckon, to come from any season of any top model is Ducky.
She's so
like
famous.
1.5 million followers. She was like the face of Fenty.
She was too good for
She was
Australia's
too
Next
good.
Top Model.
They didn't know what to do with her. It's bloody awkward.
And she didn't win, did she?
no, God, no. Some freaking white chick that we've never seen since won, I assume. The other thing about Demelza was that, so she was 16 and she gets on the show and the judges tell her that she's bottom heavy. Her hips measured 40 inches at the beginning of the show, and by the finale, they were 36. And just inches, you know how inches is like more than centimetres? It was 10 centimetres,
Oh, wow.
which is a lot. But modelling agent Priscilla Leighton Clark, with whom the show's winner got a 1-year contract, backed her losing weight and said it was kind of her obligation. She said, modelling is cutthroat at the best of times, so it's really imperative that when girls go to castings, they feel 100% about how they look.
Well, they don't feel 100% good in how they look when you call them fat.
Exactly.
To their face.
And I don't think it's about how she feels about how she looks. I think it's about how she looks.
Like according to a tape measure.
Physically,
Yes.
yes. Exactly. So that was really screwed up. Which brings us to fucked up body shit. That's our next little subtitle. In season 6, there was a contestant named Alison Boxer who was 16, and she was one of 4 girls told to lose weight just a week into filming. She said that a lot of people at home told her she was too skinny. She says that she was asked to lose centimetres from her hips and thighs. But Jessie, the show rejects this. They say that's not true. We didn't ask her to lose weight from her hips and thighs. We asked her to lose weight from her waist. Why does that matter?
That's not the point. That's not what they were getting at.
It's not the point. In that same season, and I remember this, 2 contestants decided to follow the Joanna diet, where there was one girl who just severely restricted her food and they were like, we're just only eating when she eats.
That's the thing. You put all these women in a house to compete for being the most beautiful, and then you're surprised when they bully each other for being ugly.
Yeah.
It's like being beautiful is what all of this is about, and being really, really skinny.
Now we just need to quickly touch on that finale.
And all those weeks of work, the long hours, the tears, it all comes down to this moment. So the winner and Australia's next top model for 2010 is it's you, Kelsey.
There was the time Sarah Murdoch accidentally announced Kelsey had won instead of Amanda. Let me take you back to the moment. We were in our lounge room. I remember where we were. It's 2010. Sarah Murdoch is on stage with Amanda Ware and Kelsey Martinovich. Sarah's on stage and she says, the winner for Australia's Next Top Model 2010, pause, it's you, Kelsey. Everyone cheers. Kelsey cries and hugs Sarah. She starts thanking people. She's thanking the other contestants. She's thanking Sarah. She's thanking the judges. She's saying she's done it for the short girls. But you ain't done shit for the short girls. But you can see it in the background. And I didn't notice this at the time, but you know they always announce the winner and then the magazine cover comes up behind them? It's Amanda.
Confusing.
On the magazine cover. And you can see that Sarah's face just drops.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say right now. I'm feeling a bit sick about this. No. I'm so sorry about this. Oh my God. I don't know what to say. This was a complete accident. I'm so sorry. It's Amanda. I'm so sorry. It was fed to me wrong.
It's okay, Sarah.
God. This is what happens when you have live TV, folks. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
This is insane. Insane.
It's alright.
Oh, God.
And look, a lot of people still say it was a publicity stunt, but my question is, publicity for what? And relatedly, for whom?
If it was a publicity stunt, it was the best publicity stunt ever made. I mean, I shrieked in my lounge room.
I know.
It was just so exciting. It went viral, and it was the ultimate example of you, Sarah Murdoch. You had one job. You got out of bed today. and your job was to say the winner and you said the wrong one. Do I think it was fed to you wrong? No, I don't. I think they said to you the runner-up is Kelsey. You got
and
confused.
you said it's you, Kelsey. And then you were like, come on, nobody call me out for it. Nobody call me out for it. And then they were like, no, Amanda's picture's in the background.
And she was like, I'm going to have to rectify this error. And it brings me to Tyra. 14 seasons. Cycles that woman did.
She's never.
14
cycles. No, it was 24.
Oh, 24 cycles that woman did. And did she ever get it wrong?
God, no.
Oh, she would have been so disappointed in what happened to her franchise.
Then again, I don't think they ever did it live. I think the mistake was going live.
Right. Because it was at the Opera House or something, wasn't it?
It was massive. But that's why you don't do live TV, because you're going to announce the wrong winner. It was horrific. So as compensation for the error, Foxtel awarded Martinovich a $25,000 cash prize and a paid trip to New York. And Harper's Bazaar decided to release both the covers on their November issue. So I remember one was on the front, one was on the back, and like places would decide which one they did. And it annoyed me because I was like, no, Amanda did win.
Amanda won. And she kind of got her privileges taken away from her and it wasn't her fault.
I totally agree.
It's also such an example of like Australia doing what America's doing but a bit shitter.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll take your franchise and we'll mess up, and you just know Americans watched it and they were like, what?
How embarrassing. And that's why we're getting onto the American version now. Okay? Because it was like a parody of the Australian version. It was like, let's take this and put it on crack and put it on the television. Firstly, inappropriate photo shoots and or challenges. In 2 different seasons, contestants had to pose as dead people after losing people close to them.
I am not certain that is a coincidence.
In cycle 4, Carlin had to pose in a grave shortly after she found out that her friend had died. And then in cycle 8, JL had to pose as a corpse the week after her friend died of an overdose. I want to know, in the real modelling world, how many photo shoots involve posing as a corpse or in a grave? Because I just don't think it's like, it's not like an extendable skill.
I thought the same about the venomous snakes. I mean, every season there was a venomous snake.
Spider on
and
the
it's
face.
like, put it in your eye. And they were like, I just don't feel like this is relevant to the outside world. And they were like, no, you must put a venomous snake on your mouth. And they were like, I don't want to. But every season it happened.
Every time. Then there was the time Kenya had to dress up as an elephant and pose as gluttony after gaining weight. When I say that sentence, they're 2 separate photo shoots. She was 19, and over the course of the season, her stomach actually, it wasn't concave anymore.
Okay.
It didn't look fully emaciated. And everyone was like,
what have you got? Organs in there? You got some juice.
How dare you? You got some gas.
You got some gas.
You had some water.
Do you need to go to the toilet? When was the last time you went to the toilet?
And they kept showing footage of her eating. Okay. And it's like, we all have to eat. If we just showed me throughout the day eating everything I eat,
it'd look like
flattering.
You didn't stop. If you put a 30-second compilation together of someone eating, it's like, goodness, they're eating a lot. No. Yeah, that's 30 seconds of them only eating.
Exactly. So the poor thing, the judges ridiculed her appetite and ordered her to diet. And in one photo shoot, she was made to pose as gluttony. Again, lying in a coffin full of bacon and donuts covered in grease and sprinkles. That would do nothing for your appetite. If I was posing with donuts,
you'd have a little lick. You'd turn around, you'd keep licking your lips, go, oh.
In a later shoot, she had to personify an elephant. And if you think, oh, well, you know, it was just animals and... You know,
everyone was given an animal.
Everyone was giving it
similar to in all the magazines, like when you open it and there's a cheetah.
Well, the other competitors were lean giraffes and cute deer, and you think maybe it was just randomly assigned. No. Judge Mr. J said, I've picked an animal that I think represents each and every one of you. And she was a bit confused about why she got the elephant. Next photo shoot that was a little bit fucked up. When they did blackface twice. In cycle 4, the girls had to model as different ethnicities.
Okay.
Some of the white contestants posed as black women.
You can't.
Can't. As one of them glanced in the mirror at herself in blackface, she said, I'm a black woman with a nose job. Okay. And then someone off camera said, you're a Jackson.
There's 4 problematic things there.
There's so many problematic
to just
things.
deconstruct.
One of the guys who was on the show wrote a book, like a tell-all, which we need more of, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyone who had anything to do with that show, write a tell-all. And he said he was so uncomfortable with this photo shoot and that it was all about, because remember they had to hold a baby that was the ethnicity that they were dressed up as? So
Again, sorry, I'm just thinking about magazines and this relevancy to the industry.
So his idea for the photo, he was like the creative director, and he thought it was this milk. It was for milk. So it's like they had this upper lip of milk. And he was like, yeah, cool, upper lip of milk and hold a baby. That's the photo shoot. And then they were like, no, we're also
painting the white woman black.
We're changing everyone's races. And he was like, I grew up in South Africa during apartheid and I find that really uncomfortable. And they were like, the train has left the station. What train and why? And where was it going?
Because I felt like I was complicit in something not good. When I saw that episode, I was like, look, I'm 15 and I know that ain't right. That is not right.
It ain't right. So then they do it once in cycle 4. They do it again in cycle 13. They get contestants to appear biracial, and many wore thick makeup to make it look as though they had dark skin. Why biracial? In what photo shoot are they like, here's your brief, right? You're biracial. That's not who I am.
That's not who I am. Hire a biracial model. There's an idea. You want a woman of colour in your magazine? Find one. Ducky's great. Like,
you don't need to paint a white woman black. Ah! Speaking of all of this, our next dot point. Tyra, please. The thing I love about Tyra Banks, and I will say that I love this and I will stand by it because she's crazy and we're going to do a cancelled episode solely on Tyra. But you never know which way she's going to go.
that's why she makes great television. If she goes silent, she looks at you and you go, what are you going to say?
I don't know what you're going to say. Are you going to pretend to faint? Are you going to foam from the mouth? Are you going to turn into a lizard like that Family Guy? Is it Family Guy where she turns into a lizard? You just don't. Is she going to yell? Is she going to be supportive? She's got no consistent set of values that guide her.
Yes.
Which is great for television. In cycle 6, Tyra Banks ridiculed Danielle for not wanting to close the gap in her teeth.
Okay.
So this contestant had a gap in her teeth, and during the makeovers, Tyra sent them all to the dentist, and this dentist was like, yeah, we'll be closing it. And Danielle was like, no, actually, I love the gap in my teeth. I love the way I look because it was how my grandmother looked and how my mother looked. And Tyra was kind of like, do you want to be a cover girl or not?
So, Danielle, you went to the dentist, but you refused to have your gap closed. Do you really think you can have a cover girl contract with a gap in your mouth?
Yeah, why not?
This is all people see. It's easy to read beautiful cover girl. It's not marketable.
Tyra Banks is not a dentist.
She ain't.
Dr. Tyra is like, fix the gap. Her gap isn't a functional issue. You just personally don't like it, in which case, yet again, why let her through? If you've got an issue with the gap, similar to height, similar to weight, you've got to accept people as they come.
Well, that's the other thing about Tyra. At the beginning, we said, you know, she's a producer, she's a model, she's a TV host,
She's a dentist.
she's a singer, she's a dentist. Because then in cycle 15, as if that wasn't bizarre enough, trying to cover up somebody's gap, which eventually they did, and then that contestant went on to win, which I don't know what that says. Anyway, there was a white contestant, people do think this is relevant, Chelsea, and Tyra made her widen the gap between her teeth, and a dentist went in there and shaved off 1 millimetre from each tooth. And so they were like, wait, so black girl has to get rid of gap, white girl gets gap
Increased
in force?
gap. Okay, this is something I love about Tyra. Oh, this is messed up, obviously. We're taking that for granted. What I love about Tyra is that she would take trends that were so transitory, that would be relevant for 5 minutes and permanently apply them to people's faces. And then they had to live with them when they got eliminated
2 weeks. It's like, I'm shaving your teeth. Bye. And now that woman is like a mother. She's a mother. And she's posing with her baby and she's got this gap.
And it's like, the gap's fine, but it's not mine. It's Tyra Okay.
Again, you're not a dentist. You're not a dentist. The other thing she isn't, it would appear, is any kind of activist for anything. Because in Cycle 5, there was a contestant called Kim, and I remember loving Kim. I loved her fashion. She was LGBTQ, and she was...
I remember her.
She was beautiful. She was beautiful, and she kept, like, she often brought that to shoots, that she was gay, and she was like, I'm openly gay, I am proud to be gay. And Tyra was basically like, let's just tone it down. Basically, Tyra was saying, you're too gay.
Like, I'm gay, and I'm really proud of it. I think there's a certain thing of being proud. Like, I'm black and proud, you know what I mean? But I'm not, like, walking on the red carpet. I'm black. Yeah, I'm proud.
Like, what? What are we watching? And I remember watching and being like, like that was just part of my day, watching Tyra Banks sing to a gay woman about
You're not allowed to be proud to be a marginalised group in society.
No, because Tyra didn't relate. Then in Cycle 6, Tyra pretended to faint and she scared all the contestants. She used to do this on the Tyra Banks show all the time. But anyway,
It is fun. It is
she
fun.
tells the girls she's not feeling well and she goes to get up and then she totally faints. The girls are screaming and checking her pulse. Then she gets up and yells, today's all about acting. That's her intro. And everyone's like, are you alive? It's really distressing.
You can't. It was brilliant, but it was also so cringy. And this is what Tyra could do, is like you would cringe, but you'd also be like, it's
She's
great
committed.
television.
She's committed.
She was so committed. I watched a scene in preparation for this to get the vibe, and I was hearing her say that line she always said, which was like, you're still in the running to becoming America's Next Top Model.
Yeah.
And then she'd give them their photo and often
and
she'd...
it was the sound that was like...
Yeah.
Yes,
And then
handing
she'd
the
point at
photo.
it and be like, I hate this. It'd be a photo that she hated. And
Yeah.
she was like, this is terrible. Do better. In this, she's wearing a cape. It's like, why do you look like... It was always some costume.
She's a parody of herself. That's
what I'm
love her.
saying.
Finally, there was Tyra versus Tiffany in Cycle 4. This is one of the most iconic moments.
I never forget.
All of Top Model. Tiffany's reading from a screen. They had to do this thing where it was like a teleprompter thing and they're reading from it. It's actually really freaking sad because a lot of the models cannot read the words. And I think Tiffany might have had dyslexia or something like that, and she was like, I don't want to do this, I can't do it. Actually kind of fair enough, because what kind of models are runway, photo shoots, reading from teleprompters?
And I love how they're like trying to get them into acting. And it's like, how about you get one America's Next Top Model in a magazine? Because they haven't had one job. Like Tyra, they're not turning into like Gigi Hadid.
They're not, because Gigi Hadid is Gigi Hadid.
Yeah.
And it's not cool to come from Top Model, I don't think. Anyway, so Tiffany is just hating it. Then there's two girls. She does it though, even though she hates it. Then there's two girls in the bottom two, and Tyra does her thing, and she reveals it's a blank. It's a blank photo. They're both going home, Jess. They're both going home. Tiffany is smiling while hugging the other girls, probably because it's awkward. She's like, oh, I've just been eliminated. Ha, ha, ha. Laughing and smiling a little bit. Then Tyra's like, stand in front of me again. And she says she's really disappointed in Tiffany because it's clearly all a joke to her. And then Tiffany starts trying to speak over the top of Tyra and say, I've been through some stuff. I'm trying not to let things get me down. And Tyra just loses it. Let's listen.
And you come in here with a defeatist attitude. I don't have a bad attitude. Maybe I am angry inside. I've been through stuff, so I'm angry.
Yes, but it's not, this is not, be
okay,
quiet,
but
Tiffany.
everybody,
Be
y'all
quiet.
That's what is
I'm
wrong
not
with
trying
you.
to-
But you're not.
Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this. When you go to bed at night, you lay there and you take responsibility for yourself, because nobody's going to take responsibility for you. You roll in your eyes and you act like this because you've heard it all before. You've heard it all before. You don't know where the hell I come from. You have no idea what I've been through. But I'm not a victim. I grow from it and I learn. Take responsibility for yourself.
She was so invested. In terms of people's commitment to their job, the sustained passion that Tyra Banks had for America's Next Top Model cannot be understated.
It cannot.
Cannot be overstated.
It can't. Finally, Jessie, we have my favourite. is makeovers and eye photos.
This was always my favourite season. Same with Australia's.
Always
but in
the
Australia's,
makeovers.
it was always like, we're giving you a blonde highlight. And I was like, chop her hair off.
We're giving you balayage. Ugh. She looks the same but prettier.
It's not what we want.
Boring. Cassandra Whitehead. It's
I
cycle
remember
5.
this.
And Tyra decides to cut Cassandra's long brown hair. Just for the record, every model just has long straight hair. Name me a model that doesn't just have long straight hair that can be changed given the nature of the photo shoot.
Yeah.
But anyway, no. Tyra needs people to have looks. And so she decides that Cassandra's long brown hair is going to be cut into a blonde pixie cut.
Okay.
Cassandra, she's a Texas beauty queen. She's not here for a pixie cut.
No, it's not. You know what? It ain't going to fly in Texas. And that's what these women were trying to say. This isn't going to fly in my hometown.
No. And so she loses it. And then she does the photo shoot. She doesn't do very well at all because her hair has really thrown her off. Then she comes back to the judges and Tyra's like, nah, I want it shorter. And it's at that point that Cassandra decides to leave, which always, I remember thinking logically, I don't, like, you already cut it all off. It's another inch. If you've already cut 20 inches.
I think it's the principle,
Okay.
which is that Tyra often did this. She'd get the haircut, they'd do the shoot, she'd say, you look like shit. And they were like, well, you removed 3 of my teeth. Well, you shaved my head and now you're calling me alien-y, as she often did. And that's not fair.
And it's like, if you're so controlling about this, be at the makeover. Like,
Exactly.
please guide the hairdresser
present.
better. Then there was Brittany Hatch. Tyra,
I'm looking at this picture.
Tyra didn't love anything. Like, Tyra loved giving people a weave. Who did not need a weave?
Yeah.
There
So
was
funnily, Brittany, may I just say, has Cassandra's afterlook.
Yeah.
But if you came in with the kind of pixie cut that Tyra wanted last season, you need a new hair.
And we're going to give you more of it.
Yes.
Tyra assigned Hatch long, wavy red hair, big and bushy. But it wasn't that. It pulled on her scalp for multiple episodes before she finally broke down and asked Banks to remove it, calling the weave possessed. The weave eventually went a really weird texture that Tyra said looked like a hamster that had died on her head.
You did
You
this.
did it, Tyra. Finally, Michelle Dayton. Season 4, beautiful girl with dark hair, dark eyebrows. No, they bleach her hair and her eyebrows and it all goes orange. It just looked really uncomfortable.
I think it really irritated her hairline. I think I remember her having an allergic reaction to the dye.
Yeah.
And I just remember that every time it didn't look quite right, Tyra would blame it on their attitude, on their
You could
bone
own this,
structure.
but you're not.
You didn't own that shaved head
Yeah.
like I needed you to.
So you'll be going home with it.
Alone.
I did say finally, but there's one more. There's a model called Marvita. And in cycle 10, Tyra gave Marvita, she went through a mullet phase, but with Marvita, she gave her a mohawk and a mullet.
Her hair was so good before.
Her inspiration was a horse.
I really like the image of Tyra sitting behind a desk and they're like, Tyra, you've got 20 minutes to choose what to do to these contestants. And she was like, green hair, red wig, horse, unicorn, tiger. And she just started saying things.
Then, now I'm going home.
And then she'd see them and go, that's actually disgusting.
Who did that? Tyra. Okay, it's time for charges and sentences.
I'll do my first charge.
Okay.
And then it's your turn.
Okay.
Charge number 1.
Oh, no, I'm going to go first because
Okay.
I realised I have 3.
Okay, all right.
My first charge. Ruining people's hair and teeth.
Okay. Valid.
My sentence is Tyra's getting a makeover.
No.
That is put together with suggestions from previous contestants, and all of them get to contribute one thing. It's in like a box, and you write it down on a piece of paper, you put it in the box, and so it's things like dye hair pink,
Yep.
shave it off, remove 4 teeth. Then she is the result of the makeover. Go. What's your
Dye
charge and
eyebrows
sentence?
orange and so on. Okay, charge number 1. You can't.
Okay.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't be putting alive people in graves when they've just lost someone close to them.
No.
You can't be painting anyone's face black. You can't be dressing a woman up as an elephant because she had a cookie. Okay? That's not what we do.
You can't, but you also shan't.
You shan't.
No.
My sentence. I want her boyfriend. She has a boyfriend currently. I looked it up because the sentence has to make sense.
Okay.
I want her boyfriend to pretend to have a heart attack in front of her and see how it feels because it's distressing. And then after the prank, you feel silly because you called an ambulance. And then you have to say to the ambulance, I'm sorry. He was just pretending. He was pretending to have a heart attack. It's a personal joke. Okay? What's your next
Your
charge?
sentence has nothing to do with your charge.
We never said they had to be related.
Like the charge should be about her faking painting.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Okay. All right, my second charge. Not being nice to models.
Yeah, so true.
She wasn't. Sentence. I need an America's Next Top Model All-Stars reunion.
Okay.
And I need them to all come back and share their thoughts and feelings and opinions all these years later. And I want it to be like a round table talk.
Like Jada Pinkett.
Yeah. And they all just weigh in. Hey, remember this? Tyra, no. Let's watch the footage. Hey?
I live in Texas. I have a gap between my teeth. Things get stuck. My baby doesn't recognise me because I came back with a different face. Take that on.
That's it. That's
Okay.
my
This is my final charge, which is related to your charges, but that can happen.
Okay, yep.
Making women look worse for no reason except for fun, which is a terrible reason to make women look worse. Sentence. Similarly to you, there does need to be a new season. And everything she demands of the models, she must do to herself.
Okay.
Such as a mohawk and a mullet.
Yeah.
A gap in her tooth. I also think, and this is extended and I remember thinking it at the time when I was watching them, that she should be an accountable guardian. By that, I mean you don't get to ruin someone's face and then eliminate them. She needs to be answerable for decisions for up to 1 year. Okay? Like if they can't get a job because their hair looks silly, because they have a red weave that looks like a dead hamster.
She has to give like government payment.
She has to give government payments or like a reference.
Yeah.
And say, that was me. Overlook it. I'm sorry.
It will grow back.
But you can't just send people out into the world a mess and live your life as though you didn't do anything wrong.
Agree. Great. My final charge and sentence specifically for the Australian season.
Oh, that's good because
Okay.
I didn't cover that.
Yes. Charge. Messing with everyone's body image.
Oh,
There was a lot of obsession with thinness and how none of us were ever going to be models if we had boobs and a bum.
Mm-hmm.
Sentence. I want them to try to have a season in 2021 or 2022 because it would be hilarious because they wouldn't be able to have it because you're not allowed to say any of the things that you said then.
Yes.
And Alex Perry would implode because there would be a model who stands in front of him and he's like, but it's your body. And it's like, can't say it. That's all we've got time for today on Cancelled.
I can't wait to share these before and afters on the Twins Thoughts Instagram account.
We'll also have all the videos, like when Tyra goes nuts at Tiffany.
Yes.
all
I
of
want
that.
more makeovers too. Do we have a post on Mamamia where it's just the worst makeovers from America's Next Top Model?
Obviously.
Because if we don't, I mean, that's what I'm doing this afternoon.
Obviously.
But we're going to share them all. I mean, maybe we do a bit of a poll about the worst one.
Yeah.
The mohawk meets mullet.
No, but she looks good with it.
Yeah, she looks great, but the hair's awful. I think probably the red weave is the worst. Please go to the Twins Thoughts if you want to go and check those out. Thank you so much for listening. You can leave us a review.
Yeah, leave us a nice
5
review.
stars. We love a bit of that. This podcast was produced by Rose Kerr and the head of podcasts at Mamamia is Elissa Ratliff. If you're looking for something light to listen to, we suggest The Undone. It's hosted by best mates Emily and Lucy. Every week they recount one of their listeners' terrible or funny, or both, dating stories. Here's an excerpt.
The check comes around, a nice juicy $220 bill. And he shows me his bank balance. Not a single cent is in his account. Not a single cent. He took me to an expensive restaurant in Manly with $0 in his bank balance. I paid, we left, then cue the next couple of weeks of trying to get my money off him.
You can search The Undone wherever you get your podcasts. We will see you on the Mamamia app.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.